One of the most famous Bigfoot stories is the story of the Bigfoot bodies that were supposedly recovered from the Mount St. Helens area after the eruption back in the early 80s. And I've made multiple videos about that before, where a lot of the stories you'll hear are about like a guy who's part of the National Guard, and he's brought in with a bunch of other troops to help take care of some stuff that was going on. He was taken to an area where there were like military tents set up, medical tents, and they supposedly witnessed a pile of bodies that were that of Sasquatch. They were like covered in tarps and whatnot, along with other animals that were, I guess, recovered from the area, like elk and deer and bears and whatnot. And I was just thinking about that story and the possibility of it being true. I've had people email me saying that they were there, like in the area, who witnessed stuff that happened. Like, one person that emailed me a couple years ago said they were like in a car accident near Mount St. Helens, and Sasquatch came and rescued him and his wife or something, and the story just didn't feel true, so I kind of left it at that. But I'm just thinking about some of the elements of these stories, which you can find the write-ups of them online if you're not familiar with these tales. But it just seems like in that area there would have been so much mud and ash and debris. It seems like it would be a huge waste of time and something that's really stupid to do to recover all those bodies. Not the Bigfoot ones even, just like the regular wildlife. Why wouldn't you let that be put back into the system, you know? Like, this is a natural disaster, and that would be the natural circle of life, is to just let those corpses be absorbed into the environment, you know? Why not just do that instead of wasting resources in recovering all this wildlife and taking it where or doing what with it? I don't know. Like, it just seems silly. That's part of the environment. It should go back into the environment. So that just seems stupid. Like, it just seems made up. And just thinking about some of the elements of the stories nowadays, where these military people are literally walking and talking with these Sasquatch creatures that are like wounded, they have burns, they got like bandages on, they're riding in Jeeps and like Humvees and stuff. The story does, I don't know why I never thought this way before when I first was looking into it. It really does sound stupid and made up, you know? Like they're somehow communicating with these Bigfoot creatures and traveling in these military vehicles to find other wounded Sasquatch that are residing in caves, which I would imagine the caves in the area, I mean, it wouldn't be all areas, but a lot of them would be covered in debris and ash. Like, there was a lake, I think it was called Spirit Lake. Sorry, the mosquitoes are really bad right now. Spirit Lake was covered in something like 200 feet of ash. How are you gonna find anything? The whole story, just thinking about it now, seems really dumb. And this is probably going to be the last video I make on that story, because I'm going to settle on it being made up. It reminds me a lot of the 1962 Columbus Day storm Bigfoot body story, which I also determined to be made up because I found some elements in the write-ups that were copied and pasted from actual... It was some sort of like government forestry pamphlet thing, and they had swapped out words in it. It was like, in the pamphlet, the real one, they're talking about like what happens if you encounter a bear or something, and whoever made up this story about the Bigfoot body swapped out the word bear for Bigfoot and made up some fake document. And that was enough for me to believe it to be a hoax. And when you read that story and when you read this Mount St. Helens one, it almost sounds like they were written by the same person, and it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility that it was written by the same person. And then, like, there's other elements of the story where people witnessed these bodies being carried away by like a Chinook helicopter in cargo nets where people could actually see the bodies. Why would they do that? Like, supposedly the National Guard people were told that they weren't supposed to talk about any of this, obviously. It was supposed to be kept secret. So then why fly out these bodies exposed in just a cargo net? It's so stupid. And why even bring in the National Guard if it's a secret thing, like with Sasquatch and whatnot? Why wouldn't you use like some sort of secret unit that deals with stuff that's not supposed to be known? Instead, they bring in like Joe Blow and whoever else to see this stuff and then write about it online. I don't know about that. It seems pretty stupid. But when you really look at all the elements, you go through them, you analyze them, and they really don't make sense. So yeah, I think it's most likely made up. I just don't think people would be out wasting resources doing that. I think the whole landscape would have been totally destroyed anyways. You wouldn't be able to probably recover much wildlife. You know? Why would they need our help anyways? They haven't needed our help ever in any natural disaster, and there's natural disasters that happen all the time. And in no other case have we ever heard stories like this of like with other disasters too, like wildfires and whatnot. You don't hear about the government going out and gathering the bodies of elk and deer and moose and whatever. And I worked in wildfire as a helitack member. That never existed here, at least in Alberta. Like, we'd never do stuff like that. I've come across dead animals in the woods that have been totally roasted by wildfire. You don't do anything with the remains, you just let it get absorbed back into the environment. So, I don't know, it really just does seem like a made-up story, and a bad one at that. I don't know why I ever thought there was a possibility that it could be real. When you really think about, you know, these people interacting with, walking with, driving with, you know, talking with these Sasquatch creatures that are so shy to people and trying to remain hidden and elusive. Why? I don't think they would ever need our help in the natural environment, to be honest. If anything, we would need their help. And there's stories about like there being cave systems and whatnot in the area. I wonder, like, there could have been Sasquatch hiding out in caves that got buried under piles of ash. It'd be really cool if somebody could do like, maybe like get a LiDAR unit or something and like go over the Mount St. Helens area and find out where cave systems are, or cave entrances, and there's got to be a way to do that. And somebody should go explore these cave entrances. Why hasn't anyone done that yet in the Bigfoot community? I'm not in Washington, I don't have resources to do that sort of thing, but somebody, if they can, should. So yeah, that's what I think about that. Somebody should be looking. And the Mount St. Helens area has other Bigfoot stories too. There's the Ape Canyon incident that happened around there in 1924. I think a guy named Mark Marcel found the location of the actual cabin, but that was another famous Bigfoot story. A really crazy one, but that one actually has evidence to support it actually happened, like documentation from the miners that were involved. If you haven't heard of the Ape Canyon incident, just Google it. 1924 Ape Canyon incident. Some miners were attacked after having a violent altercation with Sasquatch, shooting at them, hitting one of them. Later in the night, they were attacked throughout the entire night by rock-throwing Sasquatch. They were throwing rocks at the cabin and actually physically attacking the cabin itself with like punches and all kinds of stuff like that. So that story is also very crazy, but there's more evidence to actually support it. Actual documentation from the miners, which is really, really cool. And nothing from this Mount St. Helens thing other than like internet articles. So I'm settling on that story being a hoax, being fake. This is the last video you'll see on the Mount St. Helens Bigfoot body story. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Mountain Beast Mysteries.